Hello, this is Captain Dean Panos. I'm the owner and captain of Double D Charters in Miami, Florida. It's a charter boat. And today what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys how we rig our Wahoo lures for high-speed trolling in the Bahamas. Basically what we do is we have an islander lure. We'll put a couple of skirts on it, some cable, a hook, and I'll show you how we rig it for the kind of fishing that we do in the Bahamas. Again, high-speed trolling in the Bahamas. So to start, you're going to need a couple of things. You're going to need some islander lures. I'm going to pick this one out to start. It's black and purple, one of my really favorite colors. You need an assortment of skirts. So we have to use an inner skirt and an outer skirt, and you want it to match the color of the lure. So we're going to pick the black one here as the bottom one, and the purple and bluish for the outside one. You're going to need a hook. The hook that we're going to pick is a 8705 VMC, and that, or a 7732 Mustad. The size we use is either an 11-0 or a 10-0. And you're going to notice that this is what they call an open style hook. So it's completely open. It gives it a wide gap compared to a tuna hook. So I think we have one here. Nope, we don't have any tuna hooks, but the tuna hooks are slightly turned in a little bit more. I really like these for high-speed trolling. We're going to need some cable. And there's our 480-pound cable. We're going to need some pledge. A really good set of wire cutters. You want your cuts to be clean, leaving no burrs. You need a heavy-duty crimper. That's this guy right here. Sharp pair of scissors. And a set of crimps. I'm going to pull one of these crimps out to show you. There it is right there. So this crimp is, number one, you cannot use an aluminum crimp when you're crimping cable. The dissimilar metals, what will happen is it'll weaken the crimp, it'll sort of oxidize it, and you'll get the crimp will actually start failing, and you don't want it to fail on something like high-speed trolling for wahoos, because you're pulling these lures at 15 knots and then the fish eats it at however fast that fish is going, and it's quite the impact when you get the bite. So you really need all your stuff to be top-notch and in good condition. We also need an egg sinker, and these are 4-ounce egg sinkers that we're going to use to put inside the skirt. So let's get started. We're going to show you how we rig the lure. We hope you like this video. Please like us on YouTube and hit the subscribe button and subscribe to our channel. Thank you very much, and let's get going. Okay, so we have our islander lure right here. I'm going to take it out of the packaging. Okay, there it is right there. And we have our two skirts. We said this is going to be the inner skirt. This is going to be the outer one. I'm going to take a pair of scissors. We're just going to cut the top part of it off. I'm going to do the same thing for the outer skirt. And I'm going to take the skirt, flip it upside down. There it is right there. We're going to take our pledge, just put a little bit in. Not much. I'm going to take our 4-ounce egg sinker, push it through. Okay, the hole lines up, if you can see that right on the top. And we're going to take the pledge again. I'm going to put a little bit on the outside of this skirt. Remember, this is our inner skirt. I'm going to flip over our outside skirt. I'm going to push it in, and using the egg sinker, push that skirt all the way through. Okay, the hole lines up on the top of the egg sinker right there. And now we're ready to put our cable in. Okay, so starting our cable, it's complete, still on the roll. We haven't cut anything yet. We're going to go through the top part of the Islander. It's easier to go through the top than it is going through the bottom and coming out. So we go through the top of the Islander, it goes right through. And then we're going to go ahead and go into the sinker. Okay, through the bottom of the skirt. Now, why do we use two skirts? What happens is when you're trolling these, you're trolling at 15 knots. So that's quite a bit of speed. And with that speed, these skirts are getting compressed. And the silhouette on one skirt is really not enough. So the two skirts gives it a little bit more girth, a little bit more visibility as it's going through the water. So we got our cable pulled through. Now we're going to take two crimps, not one, but two. Going to put both crimps onto the cable. We have our second crimp going on the cable. Okay. Going to take our hook. This is rather important. We're going to go in the top of the hook, eye of the hook. We're going to wrap around once, come back through, and then go out the hook again. So what you have here, if you could see it, you're going in one side of the hook in this way, but you're coming out the other side. So what this is called is it's called a stiff rig. And there it is right there. So this will keep the hook stiff. Now, what I've done is I have marked on the table 7 inches, and that's going to be the spacing between our crimps. And I'll get a detailed shot in here in a second. But we'll go ahead and we'll eyeball it for now. Okay, pretty close. So we're going to take our first crimp, push it through. We're going to take our second crimp, put that through. So we have our first crimp on. What we're going to do is we're going to take our big hand crimpers, and we're going to position the crimp so equal sides of the crimp are showing on both sides of the hand crimper, one and there. We're going to pull tight on it, straighten the hook out, and we're going to crimp down. Okay, so we got that part crimped. Now if you notice the crimp, you have a beveled edge on this side and a beveled edge on that side. So we're not crimping all the way against the edges. I'm going to take our second crimp, make sure it's approximately 7 inches away from the first one. Looks pretty good. I'm going to crimp that in place. One thing you will want to do is you want to make sure that when you're crimping it that both these legs are even. And they are. I'm going to crimp down. And what the second crimp does is it gives it a stop. So, and I'll show it in a second, so the hook doesn't ride all the way to the top of the lure. So we have the hook now, and you can see the skirt is covering it. See it down there? The skirt is covering it. We don't want that. We don't want these strands to end up on the barb of the hook and we don't get a clean hook up when we get a bite. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our pair of scissors here, and we're just gently going to cut. We'll come up and we're going to cut right above the hook. So now, again, if you notice, the hook is not touching any of the barbs. Okay, so now there's no way that that hook skirt is going to interfere with the barb of the hook itself. At that point, we're almost done. It's that fast. We're going to measure out approximately 36 inches of cable. Actually, total length of the lure and everything. So right about there. Measure that out. I'm gonna cut. Put another crimp on. And this is the part that's going to attach to your shock cord. You don't need a big open eye like that. A little bit smaller. Just about like that. But what you want to do is you want to make sure, number one, that the cable is all the way through, but not sticking out that much. You can see there, that's quite a bit sticking out. That's going to burr out and it's going to burn your fingers if you run across them. So we'll get it pretty close to the edge, but you want to make sure that it is in the edge. I'm going to go ahead and crimp down again, leaving ourselves ample sides on both sides. Okay, now we have that beveled edge again on both sides of the crimp, and very little cable sticking out, if any. Some people at this point go ahead and take some shrink tubing and put it on top of that and go down to about here and heat it up and close it, and that'll prevent any burrs from getting in your fingers. I don't necessarily like doing that because I fish quite a bit and I want to check the condition of my crimps every time I go fishing. So if I see this crimp, it's gotten a little bit too much corrosion, doesn't look quite right anymore, I can just cut it off and put another one. Now if it has that heat shrink on there, I can't do it. But again, if you don't use the heat shrink, then you got to make sure that you're not leaving a big tag end that the cable itself is going to fray out and it's going to cut your fingers. So that is complete. So we have our Islander now complete, but you will notice that we've made this lure about 36 inches. Some people make their leaders, their cables a lot longer, 6 feet or so, but that defeats the purpose, because a Wahoo's not going to miss by 3 feet. He may miss your lure by an inch or two, but he ain't missing by 3 feet. And when that happens and you have a 6 or an 8 foot cable leader, when you're leadering that fish to the boat, now you actually have to either grab the snap swivel or put your hands on the cable, which you don't want to do in case that Wahoo runs back out. So the 3 feet allows you to keep still the shock cord of the mono in your hand. We have now completed our lure. And like I said, if you enjoyed this video, at least now you can see how to make a lure for high-speed trolling for Wahoos. Relatively inexpensive. Islanders themselves are not a lot of money. The cable's not a lot of money. You can get this done well within $35, $40. So you won't have to spend all that much. And it is a very effective lure. Black and purple is one of my favorite colors. But we do, as you see, have a variety of different colors that we're going to make. And it pays to have more than one lure. Obviously, when you're going Wahoo fishing, you want to have maybe 10, 15, hell, I probably have 30 of them that you can go ahead and just swap out if one color is hotter than the other. If you got a hot fish on and he's still rather green and he's in the box, rather than take the hook out, we'll just put the whole fish, lure and all, into the fish box until he settles down. And then once he settles down or he's completely expired, we'll go ahead and take the lure out. But at that point, we have other lures that we can use in the meantime. Again, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you can, please give us a like and please subscribe to our channel. Thank you very much.